Hey everybody, welcome to Street Fight Radio. Hope you're tuning in for the live stream. We're here on Facebook, Snapchat, Facebook, YouTube,
It's like an old man.
Twitter, and Twitch. Yeah.
Well, we're on the Snapchats, the damn Instagrams, the damn Patreons, the dang everything else.
Skype. Yes, we are live on the stream. Thanks for showing up. I'll see you in the chat. Get in there. Tell us what you think. We are Street Fight Radio, the #1 anarcho comedy radio show on any station across the nation. We've been doing this show for 8 years now, spreading this mess across the U.S. We're going to be in the Southwest next month in May. We're hitting up Denver, Albuquerque, Phoenix, and Las Vegas. That information is coming very, very soon. The official links to all of the tickets and everything as well. The poster is almost done, so get ready for that. I also announced some information about the tour happening at the beginning of July, end of August. Wait, end of June.
Beginning of August, end of July. Yeah.
Beginning of August, end of July. On Instagram. So follow us on Instagram, Street Fight WCRS. I do live feeds over there like twice a week, and you can get in there and, you know, fuck off at work. It's a lot of fun.
I'm not telling nobody about the beginning of July, the end of July, until hopefully June. We'll have that announcement ready to go.
Okay.
The first part of June, you think?
Yeah.
It's getting done.
It's happening.
It's a big fucking deal.
I figured out some of the logistics already, so I'm feeling more confident and comfortable we can make it happen. It's just going to be a matter of getting venues, but we have something great on the way.
Oh, and a matter of getting venues and a lot of people together on the same page.
Yeah.
Let's just say it like that. And it's like, I don't know. I think our listeners are going to be very excited about this thing.
Yeah. And I want to say also, I mean, we need help on Patreon. We really, if you've been listening for a while and you haven't made the leap, please consider jumping on Patreon. We've been stagnant for a few months now, but we're adding a lot of people. We're paying Jake, paying Katie, paying Jason, paying Serena, paying Steven, paying people to do the artwork for the posters and the zine and the writing and all of that. It like really adds up. So, that stuff, it only can happen because, we get support from people. And, we aren't a corny ass podcast that does fucking ads for toothpaste and underwear.
I also just going to throw this out there now because it's something that's probably going to happen later. And probably later this summer. But on that $5 Patreon level, one thing is that we watch TV every week. So we just watched the Hooters episode of Undercover Boss, a often requested episode of Undercover Boss for us to watch. It was, you will see two guys go through, me and Brett go through about 50 different opinions on whether we should just shut down Hooters forever or
if it can be possibly be salvaged and there's something about Hooters that needs to be preserved.
So there's that. And I'm going to start probably near the end of this summer, maybe by the end of July, I'm going to start releasing limited podcast runs on the $5 level that are going to be they're going to take money to make because we're going to have to cut audio and stuff. And it's very big guests. I think the first concept is that we're going to do kind of a shock jock retrospective with a bunch of different people. Yes, Felix is going to come on and talk about Opie and Anthony with me. And I think we'll get Brett in there to talk about somebody. We'll get a lot of people in. We'll talk about Tom Likas, Bubba the Love Sponge. We're going to talk about all of them. Talk about a period in radio history that inspired this. And then this turned into reaction to that. So it's that's how I feel. It's like a lot of those shows inspired me. And then this actually turned into a reaction to those types of shows as my politics changed. So I just be looking forward to that stuff. It's going to be really fun. And that $5 level is worth getting. It really is.
Yeah,
I promise.
You get a hell of a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So this week is special Street Fight week, I think. I had a bunch of news stories to cover.
Ooh.
I made the decision not to do that. And we're going to call this, let's start out first by playing go ahead.
I had a wacky day, too, I wanted to share with you.
Okay.
But I don't know where you want to put that.
We'll put it at the end.
Okay. That works for me.
Because I just want to kind of start the show with this. Means TV released our second video this week. I guess what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to play the audio, and for the people in the chat, I'm going to play the video of this. You ready, Jason? I'm going to play the video for this, and I'm going to play the audio, and me and Brett just going to have a seat and listen to ourselves talk for a minute.
How many times have you gone into work and then
Unmute
looked
the
at your
audio.
boss and said,
Is it
what are they
muted?
doing?
It's not muted.
You ever think about the
it's
levels
X
at a
and
job,
oh.
Brett?
I
Of
thought
course,
it
the
was
people
muted.
on the very bottom. What do they do?
I can't hear it.
Usually clean.
There it goes.
Yeah,
Now I can hear
and
it.
then there is the people just above them. They're the ones that do the second hardest job at the place, right?
Deal with customers.
Yeah, that sort of thing. And then there's another level above that, and that's the manager that's in the place. Now let's think about what comes after that, right? You might have a guy named like Glenn that comes to your office every 6 months, and you have to lay out the red carpet for Glenn. Think about what the person above Glenn does. Jerry is the person above Glenn,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
His job is basically going to lunch, right?
Yeah. Powerful meetings,
Yeah.
shaking hands real hard.
We're gonna go up to the CEO now. The people that sit around a table and who knows what they're doing? Nobody knows what they talk about.
Playing cards.
What connection does that person have to what you do?
The least
and
charitable
what the
read of
customer
what
gets?
CEOs
It just
do.
seems like you could really chop like 5 or 6 levels off of any job and the company would still run perfectly.
Think about your job. Now imagine your manager isn't there. How much smoother would your day run?
I mean, how many of you work a job where you don't even know who the fucking CEO is of the company? That means they're absolutely useless. They're parasites.
They're on the top, getting most of the money, sending their kids to private school, driving the fanciest cars, and they can't make a sandwich. Every new level of hierarchy is more money coming out of your paycheck. Unions are fucking great because it's not HR.
You need solidarity with the other workers. We need to use that and exercise that. You and your other workers are the most important people at that company. I mean, hell, the way I think about it, maybe you don't get a union at all and you just take the whole company away from the bosses, and that's called a co-op.
So that was our video this week, and that came out on Means TV. It was us just kind of talking about work and what we think about the people that work at a job. Very cool that the AFL-CIO posted it. And it was just a video of me and Brett kind of bullshitting about work. So yesterday, after watching this video, I thought, I'm going to talk a little bit about work, I think, on Twitter, just to see if I can gauge how people feel about it. Because I kind of, when the What is Capitalism video came out, Freedom Under Capitalism video came out, people were very mad at us.
Yeah.
But there's a certain type. I mean, most of the feedback was very positive. But
Yeah, that's true.
there was like a certain, capitalists,
Yeah,
people,
lots of-
aspiring capitalists.
Yeah. Bald eagle avatar people.
Yeah.
They
And,
live, they believe in it. That's their religion.
So I felt as though I was like, do you think that people are going to get mad at us for this video? Like, is there a possibility that somebody would actually get mad for what I see as a very non-controversial and an extremely mainstream sentiment in that video?
Yeah, most of that is material that I've done at the smoker's pit at every job I had
Yeah.
for the first 10 years of my working life.
Yeah. It's all I ever thought about at work.
That's all I
Was
ever said was we have a system here that works amongst us, and then the fucking boss shows up and starts yelling at people and starts punishing somebody who's slacking off, who we don't care is slacking off because they're doing one vital thing that we know they're going to do,
So,
or whatever it may be, man. It's just like these people are so disconnected from the job. It just is so infuriating when they come and talk to you about your daily life. They're making the decisions about it. It's fucking bullshit.
so
They know nothing.
So, something that occurred, I talked about this on the call-in show this week, and I think this is a better forum for that so that we can, like, kind of sprawl out and, like, kind of stretch out with this theory. But I have this sort of theory that your boss's boss is a wall between you and anybody above that person. So, any sort of complaint or reform that you have for your job a lot of times dies at
Yeah.
that level. It never gets above that level. And some people might think like, oh, well, you're giving like the CEOs and the people above them a lot of credit. And it's like, I'm not giving them a lot of credit. I'm just saying that like a lot of times if you talk to another person face to face and you explain your issue in an articulate way, in a way that makes them understand where your side's from, they will often change their mind.
Yeah.
Especially you're an expert on your job, you know?
Yeah.
One of the things that happens that dies at that person, at that boss, is metrics. And I don't know what I'm going to call it. The Metrics Monday. Even though this doesn't come out on Monday, it's
Okay.
Metrics Day, baby, on Street Fight.
Okay. Talking about metrics.
Talking about metrics. Metrics are a thing that affect every part of your job. A metric is the number the numbers that they decide to use to judge you and to judge your work performance. And metrics a lot of times will change the whole way that you do your job out of nowhere. And in a lot of companies, especially big corporations, the metrics will constantly change so that you're having to adjust the way that you do your job constantly. It never normalizes and stays a certain way. And, you know, a lot of people have guessed that that's just management's way of showing that they exist, you know?
Yeah, I gotta tell you, there's this new podcast I've been listening to that covers a lot of this really well, and these two, the hosts, have nailed something that like is in our wake, but like they taken it and made it something amazing. It's called Retail Nightmares.
Yeah.
And they have like funny people and interesting guests come in and talk about some of their jobs. But I just listened to one at American Apparel, and this woman is explaining that like that Dove Charney guy would on a whim just decide that all the light bulbs in the store had to be fucking changed to be a different kind of lighting, and then they would be responsible for doing like all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah.
They have to do all of their job, but then also change every fucking light in like a store that's completely, you know, has all the rack lighting and like all kinds of other stuff. But that is a real, there's been more than one episode where I've heard examples of that.
Yeah, right. And they'll fuck your company. They'll just fuck your day up. And so I kind of wanted to start this by telling my story before we get into the listener stories and maybe your stories, because I know I didn't give you a lot of time to think about this. You might not have anything, Brett. My story is, when I started at the cable company, you were judged on a number called the quality control number. And what that was you did probably, I don't know, like 40 jobs a week about, and they would go to about 10 of them and check your work. There would be a few things that they would go to look at, and you were responsible for keeping your score at 98% or above. Which sounds ridiculous, I know, to the listeners.
Yeah, I mean, like,
and to everybody.
who can be that perfect? Who can do that?
But that number to me was something that I could absolutely 100% control. Because there were certain things that I had to do, and if I did those certain things, then I was good. I was going to get that 98%. It made it so I checked a few certain things and I did my job. Now, QC was new to a lot of the older guys that had worked there before, and they had to adjust their working style to QC. Now, I started with QC, so it wasn't a big deal. After I worked there for about 3 years, they decided, well, QC is only like one number, you know, that judges the quality of your work, right? So then they decided return calls. That's what we're going to judge you on. I mean,
Okay.
If somebody has to go back to the house after you've been there, that is a failure. And you'll be judged on the percentage of times that somebody has to go back to a house after you, okay? But that ignored a lot of the reasons that people call cable companies, okay? So that ignored old people that want company, which I know people are listening, like, old people call cable companies and have the service techs come out and talk to them? Yes, they do. they love it.
Yeah.
That ignores old people or just people who don't have got a new TV and accidentally switched the input on the TV and couldn't figure out how to get it back.
Hey, you don't have anybody call. Don't have a friend to come over and look at their TV with them.
Yeah. That ignored maybe a problem with the main line that I didn't see at that moment, but could have been happening later. A lot of times when you call the cable company, you'll say, hey, this thing goes out all the time, but it doesn't go out when the cable guy's there, which means that how are you supposed to tell why it's going out? I'm telling you right now, it's impossible to tell. If it's working, it's working. If it's not working, it's not working. That includes people who think that their HD TV pictures are snowy, which is impossible.
Right.
Because they don't do that. They are either there or they're not. That includes people who have home theaters, like those home theater geeks, right? You know them, that pay $200 for a fucking HDMI cable to hook up their TV, and as soon as I leave their house, they change everything I did for their fucking room.
Yeah.
So, like, that number became this thing that every month we were called in, like, each one of us, one by one, called into an office and told to improve that number. There was I can't control that number. I can control it to a certain extent, but that number is not to be controlled. And it always stuck with me. That was when I learned this metrics thing is bullshit. Because it was like, what am I supposed to fucking do? I can't. That's a magic fucking number. That number's going to be different all the fucking time.
Yeah.
You know? So I posted this story, and I got something from Sean T. Collins, which is a friend of mine, TV guy. He does TV reviews, and he told me this, and it was really good because it's exactly like mine, Brett. When I worked at Borders, their metric for success was meeting the sales you had that day the previous year.
Wait.
So.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. That is so arbitrary.
They did not take into account things like holidays or the fact that a Harry Potter book came out that day last year, but not this year. And then he said dumb from top to bottom, which is interesting to me because how does the person that's working at the cash register at Borders get more people in there? Like what do they even do? How does that even work?
Are they supposed to drum up more business? Are they allowed to leave the register to go to try and drag people in?
Yes.
They're supposed to be like the shots person at a bar, like they try to get people in.
I really can't. I can't figure out. Like that's an advertising maybe thing. I don't know.
Oh, can I give an aside real quick?
Yeah.
I had to rent a car today. I didn't rent a car. My car got hit. I had to go get a rental car, and it was funny because the lady that picked me up had to drive me back to Enterprise. I probably shouldn't say that, but had to drive me over there and then drop me off, and then I could leave from there. And on the way, we were talking, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I got to know how to do everything at this place." You know, she's like, I mean, that's part of it. They expect you to go from this to that to this or that. And I was like, well, what about business? They're like, oh yeah, we're supposed to drum up business too. And I'm like, how are you supposed to drum up business?
I know.
And they're like, well, like we're supposed to try to sell the cars to people. She's like, so when, like if someone's car is totaled, I'm supposed to like then try to convince them to talk to Enterprise about getting a car, all this stuff. But it was really funny. We had that conversation. And then when we get there, she's like, all right, I need like a $50 incidentals deposit. And then she goes, would you be interested in purchasing a vehicle from Enterprise? And then she goes, like it was just laughed to herself for both of us. It was really funny.
Well, that's been a thing that I've thought about over this time of thinking about these metrics is that I don't know what this thing is. It wasn't around when I was working retail at all.
What?
Or in a restaurant. These surveys. Like, were not as important back then.
Yeah, getting people to fill them out.
Right. I'm hearing now from people that are like, well, you get like $50 if you get a good survey, which I didn't fucking know.
Yeah, I used to get mystery shopped at Fazoli's, and they would give you like a tomato pin for your hat if you got like a 5 stars or something.
Well, that's what I was explaining to somebody. A lot of times it was an attaboy. It was mostly just because that's what Insight was like if somebody called in and said, this guy came to my house and he was fucking really nice to me and he got my TV fixed, you would get an attaboy. But
Yeah.
if somebody had to go back after that, you would get dinged on your return calls.
Right.
I mean,
That's shitty.
it just doesn't make any sense. It is an uncontrollable number. Like, that's what I've learned over looking at these things, is that a lot of us, I am not now, but a lot of people are just responsible for numbers that they absolutely can't control. It's almost like a wizard comes up with a thing and you got to figure out how to do it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of that at the warehouse where we would do numbers and then they would be like, all right, we need an improvement in numbers. And it's like, no, I mean, like, that's what you get. Like, we're doing pretty much the best you're going to get from us, you know? Then we had to, like, all come together and, like, drag the numbers down, you know? And,
Yeah.
and to, like, start explaining to people, like, you know, to only do X amount. Like, if we need to do 70 boxes per hour and you're going to do this for 5 hours, stop at 350. Like, when
Yeah.
you get to 350, you just fucking find something else to do.
Right. Well, Big Hayes on Twitter said they implemented metrics at my work. So now instead of doing any work to improve the facility, my boss just spends all his time making sure to game the metric system.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of work.
I'll tell you, here's how numbers I was completely in control of, and they changed the metrics, not in my favor. When I worked at Discover Card, and they started this new team. It was called the Over Limit team. And this was going to be this new effort for basically people that were chronically over limit. They were going to give us new privileges and let us make deals with people to get them like back. Because those people never, you know, no one wants to throw $100 at like a $7,000 worth of fucking debt. If like 90% of it's going to fucking interest.
Yes, yeah.
So they said they didn't really know how to do the bonuses. And I figured out very quickly how to gamify it. I came up with a spreadsheet that had a calculator in it. And so I figured, like, because what they were wanting us to ask people to set up, we wouldn't make any commission on it. Like, it didn't meet our numbers. So I made a calculator that met our numbers. And I was asking people for outrageous numbers, like, just because that was the only way I was going to get a bonus. And they were saying yes.
Yeah.
Like, because I would be like, I'm like, do you want to get this solved? They're like, I really do. And I'm like, you got $600 for like the next 3 months. I can give you like, you know, I can match it 50% of everything you pay in reversals of fees. Like, I can make sure that you have a card when you're done. I can do all this stuff. And I was making deals and I was getting so much fucking money as a bonus that they were like, well, we got to change the numbers because people are making too much in bonus. And it's like, I'm making you money though.
Yeah.
This isn't me taking money from you. Like, I brought in money that you had no idea how you were ever going to fucking get. So then that's when it was like, this is like the beginning. And this is me. This is a job I had when I was 19 too. So this was just the beginning of everything falling apart, because it was like, you know, you were getting a bonus if you brought in $25,000, which is like, I mean, that's a significant amount of fucking money. And then it moves up to $100,000. Then I'm like, wait a second, I'm getting $100,000. I'm shaking people down for $100,000 a month. And you have made the bonus less now than when I was getting 25 grand.
That's fucking crazy.
It was awful.
Yeah.
And I got in trouble too for like having them, because they said it was unfair that I came up with that calculator and all that stuff.
Everybody should have it then. Just be like, I'll give it to fucking everybody then. It's a new thing for the company.
Yeah.
They don't want that shit because they don't want to fucking pay. They don't really want that money, dude.
Yeah.
They don't really
don't.
want that money
They
from
don't.
the limit either. I was like at the cable company, we went through this, like, you know, I'm working there for a really long time, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they were like, you know, it isn't a big deal. Like, delinquent accounts aren't a big deal. If some of our most delinquent accounts, maybe we'll just send salespeople out to, like, reconnect their service and let them start again from zero. Because they were like, we're not getting this money.
Right.
So we might as well just try starting to get money. And it's
Yeah.
like, all this shit is fucking fake.
Renegotiate. Yeah.
The whole thing's fake. It's a fucking fake system.
Yeah. And that's how it was too. Discover. I've said this before, but that over limit program I was a part of, there was one of the executive guys in the room was like, I'm looking at this whole thing. I'm wondering how we're gonna how this is profitable for us. They're like, our over limit and delinquent accounts are the most profitable part of this business.
Yeah. It's all just, I mean, yeah.
He said it out loud, and I was just like, what the fuck? My eyes were just flipping over in my fucking head.
Yeah. This person that was taught this La Cage Fallez on Twitter.
Okay.
Works in a hotel. Works in
Okay.
hotels. And they base everything around guest surveys. Okay, Brett?
Uh-huh.
They also count every score lower than 9 as a 0. So
What?
yeah, so just keep that in mind
Wait.
if you fill out a thing too, because
Oh.
a lot of businesses are like that, man.
That's
they
true.
will say that like you need to carry a 9 out of 10 or like I said, a 98 out of 100.
Yeah. They're looking for a number that seems like perfection.
Yeah, that's all and anything less than that hurts you in the end.
Oh, man.
And also, just as an aside, anybody that works in customer service knows that like you can't solely depend on customer feedback as the right thing for because customers are fucking crazy.
Yeah. And the ones that are willing to talk to you are the craziest.
Yeah, the ones that even call in and say something nice
Yeah.
to you are fucking crazy.
Yeah.
You know, they think that offering you $1,000 to do the survey means that like, oh, well, what rational person wouldn't do the survey for a chance to win $1,000?
Right.
Well, a lot of people, because they don't want to fucking do a survey,
Yeah, they
it
don't
takes
care.
time out of their life.
Yeah, I'm not going to give you this information for the lottery.
Have you ever held on at the end of like a cable call or something like that and filled out the survey?
No.
Me neither. Not a single fucking
Oh, wait,
time.
no. Wait, have I? I know, I don't remember. No, I don't think I've done that.
Yeah. You haven't
I
done that?
probably should to help the person out, right?
It
For
would-
their numbers.
Yeah, it would be nice, but it's also like,
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
this isn't like you can do call monitoring. You can tell if I'm happy. You know, maybe assume that everybody that leaves and doesn't scream at somebody is happy. That
Yeah.
works.
Yeah, sure.
You know, and if you're the fucking cable company, dude, nobody's happy. Nobody likes you. You're the worst company in the world.
Yeah.
All the cable companies are the worst places. They're like the notoriously the least liked companies out there. I fucking hate Spectrum. I hate that company.
Right.
Like when I drive by it, I want to spit at it because I hate it so much. Here's a person, Decorum Rascal on Twitter, who said, I finished the one job I have to do today 2 hours ago. But I'm currently in the customer's bathroom watching a movie because my boss wants to see my time on site numbers increase.
Oh, God.
If a job takes me 1 hour to do, I show strong signs of underutilization. If that same job takes me 6 hours to do, I show strong signs of a commitment to service.
So he's just pretending that he's working.
Yeah, you have to. You have to just pretend.
Go lay down and watch some YouTube to get your numbers up.
Yeah. What is that?
Yeah, I mean they've perverted the whole thing. I've always felt, and I've said from the beginning of the show, is that we really got to have an honest talk about what needs to get done here and how much time it actually takes, you know?
Yeah.
The 40-hour-a-week thing is just so fucking dead, you know?
Yeah.
The boxes today need to get done. We'll do the fucking boxes and we'll go. How about that, you know?
Yeah. Well, you don't want to get into that because then they'll just
Keep
make
piling
sure
them
you
up.
have more boxes
Of course.
until you're dead.
Of
Until
course.
you're there 48 hours.
Right. But in the system that I was in, there was plenty of off days. Like, I don't mind doing the overtime if, you know, I don't have to work when there's nothing to do.
Yeah. I agree with you.
I don't like being chained to a fucking place. You
I
know?
do too. I don't either. I was just talking to old friend of the show, Steve, or still friend of the show, but you know, he's been around for a long time, Steve Orange, and he famously, when he was living here, he was working for a different company, but he would like skip his lunch on Friday and go home early because he was just like, yeah, there's no fucking work to do.
Nobody checked on him ever.
What I do isn't important.
Yeah, he said he would just be like, he would put a meeting on his calendar and then just not go to work, and nobody ever paid attention.
And so he was telling me recently that he works at a new place and he had been doing that for a little bit, and then they made it against the rules to skip your lunch and leave an hour early because you needed to take your lunch because they wanted you until... They want to make sure you're there until 5 or whatever the time is. And I've had so many
fucking
shit
assholes.
jobs like
I
that.
fucking hate that.
I do.
Me and my wife are both work through lunch people.
Me too.
We're both just like, I'm just going to do 8 hours and I'm going to leave immediately.
Yeah.
I just am going to, I won't even, you know, like, I'm going to take my breaks. That's it.
Yeah,
But
I will not take a break. If
I'll
it
take
meant
2
I got
breaks.
To go home an hour and a half.
I won't
early.
even take a break for the lunch. I will just take 2 breaks.
I'll eat a fucking bar at my desk.
Yeah. I'll sneak a bar. I'll hide a bologna sandwich and eat it on the toilet.
I mean, that's so frowned upon.
I know it's fucked up, but you should be in control of that time.
Yeah, I agree. Well, it doesn't make sense. It's like, so you're you're forcing me to take this hour?
Yeah.
Like, I have to now?
Like, get out, scram, get out of here.
Yeah. Look, I'm surprised they don't
Go run some errands.
I'm surprised they don't send a manager to, like, spoon feed your food into your mouth in the room. Like, here, buddy. Oh, here comes the airplane.
Yeah, get some sustenance.
Yeah. That's fucking crazy, though, right?
Yeah.
Here's Cole Powers. I was a service plumber for a company that had a score for all its employees that raises were based on. No one knew where the score started and where it ended or what exactly dictated it. Everyone's score was between 15 and 35. Higher was better. They told me I needed a higher score to get a raise, and I asked how I could get a higher score. And they kind of vaguely explained it, factored in time spent, materials used, return visits, and travel time. He said drainage jobs were the best for raising your score. And it's like, but then you give me the fucking drainage jobs. If it's out of my hands, like nothing, your raise should never depend on something that's out of your hands. Your job should never depend on a number that's out of your hands.
Yeah. Yeah, that reminds me, it makes me think of, there was a time when I worked at the warehouse where this boss came in and he was the new manager for this team. And he had just started like at the new review period. And it was like 6 months. I think we did 6 months. Yeah, we did 6 months there. And he was like, this team is fucking great. They're phenomenal. They know how to do everything. They've hit all their metrics. They all get fucking 5 stars. And then his boss's boss was like, no, we didn't budget for that. We don't actually hand out, what people, we can't actually hand out what we think people should get. We have a certain amount of 5-star raises allotted. So you need to pick those shining stars that are 5-star people.
We have a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
And that means that some people have to get a lower raise than other people. And it doesn't fucking matter.
It doesn't matter what the metrics are.
No.
The metrics don't matter right now.
They matter every day, all the time, as much as possible. But not right now. Right now, it's money.
Right now, it's just, you just got to pick someone. Who don't you like? You're the manager. You can do whatever you want. Pick someone you don't like.
That is so fucking funny. This person worked at a financial institution, and eventually the way it worked around... I'm sorry. That was the wrong one. Sorry. I work in HR metrics, and let me tell you, they don't even give a shit if the metrics actually measure anything useful. They just have to report shit, and who cares if it matters? Which sounds exactly
Lots of email
right.
checking.
Yeah. Somebody brought up call centers, and I can talk a little bit about the one I worked at. 6-minute call times.
Yeah.
6 minutes, all the fucking time. The managers had a certain amount of available, because when you're not on a call in a call center, you're considered available, right?
Right.
Like that's the status that you're in if nobody's calling. So the managers had to make sure a certain amount of availability was gone. There wasn't, at the fucking place I worked at, it was crazy. It was like 45 seconds. They didn't want over 45 seconds of availability.
No, they expect hammering the phones.
They want a queue.
Right. When you got to... then when you got to auto dialer status, it was as soon as the phone didn't pick up, as soon as the phone disconnected on the other end, it would throw you into the next thing.
Yeah.
Like
a lot of people hate waiting on hold. The reason you fucking wait on hold is because it's designed so that you fucking wait on hold so that those people are constantly cycling through calls. Because I've only ever done inbound calls.
Oh, yeah.
I've never done outbound. I would love to hear how that works.
It's awful. It's just a constant barrage. It just beats you down so bad.
Yeah.
Especially when you're doing collections and you're just listening to like the worst stories of people's lives like over and over and over again. Unless you develop some sort of weird like,
Callous.
like they did it to themselves or like
I've seen that.
like
dude.
they we all know what we're signing up for. There's the terms and conditions. You have to be that kind of just like arrogant fucking dipshit to make, because it is like it would be constant calls. They like the biggest problem I had with that company was that I would hit my collection numbers and then I wouldn't take calls. And they would say, you need to be taking X amount of calls. You need to have this amount of call time. And I would be like, bro, I collected your 100,000. I collected your money. I'm the top rep, for dollars collected right now. But I'm in a meeting because you're saying I'm not calling enough,
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear people's shit anymore. I'm like, I literally don't want to have another person cry on the phone and tell me they wish that they could pay their debts back and they feel like they sinned against fucking God and shit,
Yeah.
I don't want to hear that.
I actually knew a guy who was really fucking cool guy, dude. Like, he had like a name that was kind of like weed related, like his nickname. He was like one of those guys that you're just like, what a fucking cool dude.
Sure.
When you meet him, and he was like in a band. He played bass. He fucking was in like metal bands. He had that look about him. He's like really good at video games. Just like one of those cool dudes.
Yeah.
Okay. And his job was chasing down high level student debt people. And like I remember, like I really respected this guy and thought he was really cool until
You found out what he did?
it wasn't even
Do it
that.
later.
Like I knew what he did. Okay, like I had known he was a collector, and bill collecting is a shit job, and people shouldn't do it. But I also understand
It's a lot of money.
It's a job that people do so
It's
that
one,
they can live.
and you don't need a college degree, and you can make way more than $10 an hour.
Right, yeah. So I didn't look down on him at that point, but then he started talking about the like guilt neutralization that he does in his mind about having it. And he's like, these fucking people, man, they signed up for this debt. They knew what they were doing. I'm like, actually, they were like 18 years old, and they probably didn't have a real concept of what like $65,000 is. And it's really not fair that they get trapped in this debt,
Yeah, communications isn't actually their strong suit.
Yeah, and I just remember just sitting there like, oh my God, because I had the same realization at the cable company at my orientation when we started to talk about non-paid disconnects, which is something I didn't ever have to do. They outsource non-paid disconnects because I think it's kind of like, we don't want our in-house people quitting all the time because we pay to train those people and all this stuff, and non-paid disconnects are the fucking hardest thing to do. A lot of times you're fucking running from a dog or have some fucking maniac yelling at you at the bottom of your ladder and shit like that. Is just like not fun. That is a job for fucking crazy people that like are not afraid to go knock on a door and say, I'm taking your cable boxes and shit, like that. But I was talking to they still had to prepare you for the prospect of non-paid disconnects there. I remember at the orientation, this nice woman, her name was Tibby, Brett.
Oh.
Just a saint on earth, really.
Yeah, sounds like a warm bowl of oatmeal.
I know, she was so nice. The whole thing, she's like explaining our benefits and everything. And then one day, talking about non-paid disconnect, this like fucking darkness fills her eyes. And she's like, a lot of you probably won't want to do the disconnect. But just realize those people are taking food out of your kids' mouths.
Whoa!
And she was like, sometimes you're going to look in the house and you're going to turn off cable while the kids are watching SpongeBob SquarePants or something. You need to realize that it's not your fault this is happening. Their parents didn't pay the bill. And I was just like, fuck, this world is bleak.
Whoa.
Like, it really fucking hit me hard.
Don't turn off the baby SpongeBob.
I never forgot that. The day
Yeah,
I
that
walked
sounds
out of there,
psycho.
it was so crazy because she was the nicest woman I've
Yes.
ever, one of the nicest people, a woman named Tibby.
Yes.
And it was so fucking dark, man.
Don't become a non-paid disconnect or the darkness will get you.
Yeah. I mean, that's bleak, and that is a lot of bill collectors'
that's what you gotta
mind, too. You just have to do it.
And especially if you're getting computers and all kinds of money and cool shit, and you have a guitar with flame straps on it and shit.
Yeah.
The also outbound sales though was another bad one because you're lying and you're being really facetious with people on the phone. you know, you're like calling, and like every insurance agent that I called had someone that answered the phone that was supposed to make sure I didn't bother them.
Yeah.
But I'm supposed to be like, hey, is Greg there? And they're like, I'm supposed to sound like a friend, so like just throw them off guard. You know, I don't want them to ask who is this, because then I gotta say.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
had to ask for the person's, like, you were just like,
Yeah, throw Greg on the phone.
I'm
Just
a
stuff like
tennis-
that.
I'm
Yeah.
a tennis buddy of Greg.
Yeah, exactly.
See if he wants to meet me to play squash later.
Hey, Gregorino around?
Hey, have you talked to the Greg man lately?
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. And then, like, you know, then from there, people cuss you out. People then tell you all kinds of awful things about you. And also, like, you know, the product that I was selling was completely a fucking lie. It was so bad and awful. And I just couldn't, like, in my mind, it was like, I have to make money, but I'm like defrauding these people.
I'm ruining this guy's like life, like, because a small insurance agent's company is like, you could really take him out. You know?
But the thing, yeah, right, exactly. You're right. We could ruin somebody.
Yeah.
You're right. We could sell them a whole bunch of bunk shit, and he's like, "Fuck! I was betting, you know, the marketing on that, you know."
Yeah.
But then we were so insulated though, because we had a crew of, it was all women that took the brunt of the hatred from the agents. Like, they were like, "Don't talk to them." They're like, "After you make the sales, you don't talk to them ever again." Like, because those people would call back, and like sometimes they would sneak through. Like, they would, like, Brett, remember me? I got your fucking leads that you sold me. They were fucking awful, and I'm going to call this and that on you. I'm going to send you to jail. Your, you know, financial court shit, all that stuff. They would just start threatening you. But like,
God, that was
happening
nuts.
with all kinds of customers, but they were dealing with, you know, it was just because the customer service number, the number that I gave them for customer service and anything else never came back to me.
Right. And then
So
when they
I'm-
were saying, like, the reason that they separate that is because you have to do the dirty.
I'm doing
You
the
do one
lying
dirty
trickster,
thing,
yeah.
and then they do another dirty
Right.
thing.
Exactly. But we can't, like, look at each other. We have to have plausible deniability.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. That's fucked up, man. I would hate that fucking some guy knowing my name and just fucking thinking about how he wants to get revenge on you for a little lie.
Oh, I know. I mean, I would be fucking furious. Like, if somebody was like, "Hey, is Brett there?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." Like, "I can get you more podcast listeners." I'm like, "Oh, really? Like, how can you do it?" "Well, $10 a person. I'll get them to listen to your show," and da-da-da. And we, like, lose all of our money, and none of those people listening. And they actually got them to listen to, like, 6 other podcasts, you know, as well. And sold them the same thing. And this person is just listening to podcasts to get $10. And they don't really give a fuck about podcasts at all. They just want $10. And it's like,
fucked up.
and then, you know, and then it's like, fucking sink the business.
Yeah, and these are not just rare jobs either, right? Like, your job isn't I have done jobs that were ripoffs just like that job. Like, every kind of, like, I don't want to say like dirtbag, because that's not really the right word, but every kind of person that didn't go to college, that needed to go out and make money, that maybe didn't fit in, never saw themselves in an office, would go and find one of these fucked up, selling people clocks
No, I
and
worked with-
work parking lots and shit.
Yeah, I mean, I worked with lots of West Side fucking hillbillies that would get on the phone and could really wrangle somebody into a fucking deal.
Yeah.
They loved it. And it's like, it was a way out. Like, there's guys busting their ass doing construction that weren't making as much as us do it, like the top salespeople from very, very people with green tattoos on their fucking face and hands.
Yeah.
No one can see that over the phone.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I did really shitty at like the extra sales, and that's been another one of the metrics that I've seen a lot in this. And this is non-fat Mike on Twitter.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. I worked at HMV, and they had this loyalty program at the end that cost money and had next to zero benefits for the customers.
That sucks.
Attachment rates on this program were the sole thing they evaluated staff on near the end of the company. You would have people just selling them to people without telling them it costs money just so they wouldn't get written up. People would fight for the cash when they saw a returning customer coming up who we knew already had the card and wouldn't hurt your numbers. Everybody got compared to the national average attachment rate. Didn't matter that most of the average was dragged up by a handful of people with truly absurd and obviously crooked numbers. Company-wide numbers were available, and anyone with a halfway decent understanding of math and stats could take one look and say that at the very least we shouldn't be using the national mean average to judge people, not head office management though. Or the sample size of applicable transactions would be so small that 1 or 2 sales of the program would swing your numbers wildly. And that's what's funny about that is Blockbuster did the same fucking thing when they were closing. They had that Blockbuster Rewards loyalty program that you couldn't walk out of that store without getting.
They're like, take a popcorn, take a fucking peanut, take a Mr. Goodbar with you. Just grab one.
And they wonder why that's why streaming, like that's kind of why Netflix won, because they can't upsell you. Like they're not trying to sell you fucking candy.
Yeah.
They're not trying to get you on their rewards program. And they have you so that if they what are you going to do if they fucking raise the prices, dude? Like,
Yeah.
they just raise the prices on me. What am I going to fucking do? Am I
Right.
going to fucking turn it off and then get yelled at by my wife and kid because they can't watch fucking Stranger Things? No.
And it's $1 or whatever. It's usually something like that doesn't hurt so bad, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Well,
it's,
and I mean, holding it feels like holding the employees responsible for the things that they do is just unfucking acceptable.
Yeah.
It's just not even a good way to. There's nothing you can do about this. I don't know.
well, FrogBaby236 on Twitter said, when I worked at Meijer, they spent 6 months making the new credit card the only thing that anyone cared
See,
about.
I was just about to bring that up. I was just about to say Victoria's Secrets. I've been pretty snippy with certain people that are very forceful about getting the card, where I'm just sometimes say like, that will literally ruin my credit. I'm terrible with credit cards.
Yeah.
I don't want to have it.
Yeah.
I guess you don't want to save 15%.
Yeah.
It's like,
well,
you're probably the top person. You probably guilt a few extra people a day more than the average cashier does, but it's fucking obnoxious.
fucking, yeah, you're exactly right. I have like 9,000 of these stories from working at Blockbuster, but the worst one was the snack card, where if you bought the card for $6, you got a free candy item with your rental for a month, and it was a pain in the ass to sell people. Yeah, no shit. Nobody wants the snacks, dude. I can go to the fucking store, and I'm not blaming RRROOOIIIRR on Twitter. I'm not blaming that person as the employee. I'm blaming a fucking company. Nobody wants to be fucking sold to. Nobody. Yeah. I don't even fucking want... Like, I don't even want to be sold to at a car dealership, dude. I wish there was a way that I could go online and just fucking buy the car and go pick it up and never talk to Ray down at the dealership, ever. You know?
You know, the other thing about that video that we talked about, which I've been thinking as well, is, like, how much money at the company goes to people that do metrics? Like, what if they just fucking fire that person? Yeah. Like, how much money would that save the company?
A lot of people, well, there's people in my mentions that actually said that they are the people that come up with the metrics, and they're hired as outside contractors. And some of them have said things to me, like privately, that, you know, companies pay about $200,000 to have somebody come in there and come up with their metrics.
Well, and the thing is, too, is when it comes back to that video as well, is, like, how much money is being spent on creating a new Chobani yogurt label every 6 months? Like, we could fire that whole... Those people are fucking unnecessary.
Yeah.
Like, the redesign of packaging, the new characters that they come up with, all of that has nothing to do with the essential idea of getting the product to people, which is all that we fucking care about.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
That's all it should be, dude. All it should fucking be at a job is are people able to walk into this store, get the thing they want, buy it, and leave? And don't fucking come to me. I want to say this. I don't want to fucking hear from like Target or Kroger or fucking Meijer or any of these places with the self-scan about customer service. They don't give a fuck about customer service because they wouldn't.
They're not
do the
offering it.
self-scan.
They're not offering it.
Yeah.
They aren't offering a friendly or helpful environment at all.
Yeah, none of that shit is fucking real that they're bringing up, and then they make up numbers. So, like, the person that's standing in the middle of, like, the scrum of 6 self-scan machines has to meet some certain number of, like, saying hi to one of the customers. The other day, when I was checking out, Brett, at a self-scan machine at Kroger, I'm checking out, and I get done, and it flashes the manager. It flashes the person that's standing in what I call the pit, where there's like 7 of the machines that one person's responsible for. Flashes them to come over, and it says, make sure that this on the screen, it basically says, make sure this customer has 21 items in their bag.
You're supposed to eyeball that?
Yeah, the person's like, oh, whatever.
Yeah, who has that? Who can do that?
That's what I said. I was like, well, I mean, if it was 4.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
21.
21.
What, you going to take everything out and fucking count it?
Let me take a gander at that. Fuck, I lost count.
Yeah, it's just a...
We're supposed to be doing this secretly.
The things they expect are fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. I just forgot my whole damn thing I was supposed to say there.
I'm sorry.
It's fine. No, you didn't do that. I forgot it actually.
Not sure if this is exactly what you mean, but when I worked at Walmart, our quarterly bonuses were determined by amount of sales and the amount of survey responses on sales receipts. 2 things that I had almost no control over whatsoever since I was the impulse candy department manager.
Nice.
Which that is another thing. Like, again, I can't get people... Look, you will never get me to fill out a survey. I don't fucking care. If you tell me you'll give me $10 if I fill out the survey, guaranteed, I'll just fucking eat the $10 before I fill out the fucking survey. Because every single time I've gone to fill out a survey, there's more than one page and I get annoyed and I just close it out.
Like, how long is this going to be now? Hold on now. I thought you were going to ask me one question here.
I know. Well, it does. It'll ask you, like, all your demographics info, and you're like, oh, okay.
No, it won't.
What did you think about this? And then you start to
No, the fucked up thing is they're like, what jelly bean do you like? And you're like, oh, yeah, finally, the shit I like to talk about. But then you do that, and then they're like, what's your name? What's your address? Like, what Target store do you like to visit? And I'm like, no, I was fucking here for jelly bean talk.
You're like, I thought you was just curious about my jelly bean opinions, which I have a lot of.
Yeah,
I don't have any opinions on the rest of this stuff.
No, I don't want you to track my movements at the Target store. Well, so here's what we got a lot of, too, in response to the video. People that said we don't understand how things work in a big company. And I have to say, for the chair force, the executives, they maybe have some sort of big brain ideas about what the company should be doing. And maybe when we have to make one decision on what the robots at the job are going to do or what the new logo on the yogurt is going to look like, they can do that. But then the other 364 days of the year, they're just filling the containers with yogurt.
I said that too.
Yeah, I mean, they can we can have a breakout sesh and talk about shit, but then we go back to like making hamburgers if we work at McDonald's, right?
I was talking.
We're fucking hamburger people here,
right?
We're not people that just sit in desks and look at computers and fucking make decisions. We make fucking hamburgers.